The button has been pushed. Hello and welcome. What's going on, guys? Coming at you live from the dungeon. No, we're not in the Midwest. Please don't be surprised, but I am talking to some homies back in Wisconsin. What's going on, Armchair Boogie, Ben, and Augie? Thanks for taking the time.
What's
Yeah,
up?
man. Dude.
Dude, thank you, boys. Thank you. I know that you're busy, you're ramping up for a big tour, but I have seen you guys a few times live, and it's hard to describe exactly who you are other than like if you want to boogie, get off the armchairs and go see these guys, right?
That's
So
right.
so
That's
let's
right.
chat a little bit about who you guys are, where you came from. I think a lot of people are actually surprised that the Midwest has a pretty strong bluegrass and jam scene.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
couldn't agree more. We are one of many, and one of many touring around as well.
For sure. And like it goes many years back too, because I ended up moving to Minnesota from Hawaii as a teenager in the very late 90s. And I came up with the Big Woo, right? And so the Big Woo were my first jam band that I like absolutely fell in love with. Uh, I saw a string cheese incident at River's Edge in Somerset, and that was like a game changer for me. But like you don't think about the Midwest and like think about the music scene, but it actually is really strong.
Absolutely, man. I could go to a concert every night. We both live in Madison, Wisconsin, and I could go to a concert every night if I wanted to.
Well, and so let's talk about where you guys came up and where your foundation of music kind of came from, right? So, Augie, let's start with you because for people that don't know, you are the banjo picker as well as one of the lead vocalists. But like people don't think about Wisconsin and think about bluegrass music, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, it, I think about it because it's been something that I've been a part of for such a long time, you know. But yeah, I'd say so. The North Woods creates a different vibe of bluegrass for sure. And I grew up in southwestern Wisconsin, which is a really beautiful hilly area called the Driftless region. And then went to school up in Stevens Point, which is central Wisconsin. And I went to school for forestry. And that's where Horseshoes and Hand Grenades was going strong. And so we watched them. Also, a super fun bluegrass adjacent band. If people are unfamiliar, but great buddies with them still. And there was a lot of bluegrass happening. There's a bunch of real traditional bluegrass bands around the state as well. So just yeah, I could name 100 people that have influenced us over the years, but it's going on, man. It's going on.
It, and it definitely is. And I wasn't trying to be offensive. I'm just saying
Oh yeah,
for the
yeah.
normal fan or from a nationwide aspect, people don't like think about the Midwest and think about that. Although, like you said, horseshoes and hand grenades, right? I already talked about the Big Woo, Trampled by Turtles from Duluth, right? Like,
Yep.
put it on the map. Um, and so the foundation is there. And so, what age were you when you decided, like, oh, I want to pick up the banjo?
Well, I was 14 and all of my buddies were playing guitar. They had all just gotten guitars and I was watching them play and I would pick up the guitar after them and just mimic what they were doing. And they'd be playing something, I don't know, like Wonderwall or whatever. And I would just
Of course they were.
immediately be able to play it. Like I'd just watch them and I'd be able to play it. And of course, you know how high school guys are, so they got pissed at me.
I love how
Uh,
you just slip in that humble brag real quick. So wait, you literally could just hear it and then repeat it?
I mean, not per like I would say, um, no, not like that well, but I could recognize what was happening, and I kind of really immediately got I understood the idea of it. I understood making things happen with my hand just by listening and watching and stuff. So certainly not that good at it, but uh, I what they were pissed about
No,
was
but
that
there is a spark. There is a spark there.
yeah, yeah. So they were pissed because I was able to do what they were doing, practicing for a few weeks and just pick it up and do it. And I'm not that
Yeah,
awesome
I'd hate
at
you
guitar,
too,
or any,
Augie.
but so well, fair enough. But so then I was like, fine. They were like, quit playing our songs, like learn your own songs. You don't even have a guitar. And I was like, I don't even want to play the guitar. I want to play the banjo because I had heard banjo. And so, all I knew is that I heard banjo music and it made me smile. It just made me feel happy. So I asked for a banjo for Christmas when I was 14 and I got one. So then I started playing it. And I'm actually sitting in my parents' basement right now just because the way that the day worked out. I was stopping by here for a little bit. And I'm sitting right where I was when I was 14 years old learning to play that banjo.
So how was it when you first picked up the banjo? Because it's not the easiest instrument to play, right?
Yeah, it took me a long time and I would get frustrated at not getting stuff right away because I wanted to go fast. Ben's the teacher around here, so I'm sure he understands all this, but I just want to go fast immediately, and it was so frustrating for me not to be able to do that. But that compelled me to just like get it until I had it nailed down right. And the biggest thing was that I had a super good teacher. He was just a great Scruggs style picker, and I played off of a workbook that he had, and it was awesome. So it was, and I took 3 years of lessons from him throughout high school, and then yeah, this has been the rest is history.
Yes, but so Ben, let's talk a little bit about you, buddy, because you are the guitarist and the other lead vocalist for this band. When was it? Was there? Did you come from like a family of musicians? Was there some sort of influence early on, or what was the inspiration for you to end up picking up the axe?
Yeah. Well, it was a little similar to Augie, I guess. I had always loved music, man. Like I just like as soon as I got an allowance, all that money went to CDs and things like that at the store.
Wait,
I
hold on, time out. What was the first CD you ever bought?
Oh man, I don't even know. It was
Ben,
jeez,
don't
that's
you
hard
cop
to
out.
think about. I mean,
I
it
can
I
probably
know
wasn't,
that mine was Snoop
but
Dogg's Doggy Style, and my mom took it
yeah,
away from me.
I know that Augie, what was your first CD? I'm actually curious.
I remember I didn't buy it, but I remember the first CD that I ever asked for, and it was because my aunt lived in Madison and I live out in the country, and that was like so I needed somebody from Madison to get a CD at a CD store because there weren't CD stores around here, and I got Fountains of Wayne, Welcome Interstate Managers, which is the CD that Stacy's mom was on. You know,
Oh
that's
hell
Stacy's
yeah.
mom, and it is
Stacy's mom has got it going on.
yeah,
That's fucking great.
it is a mind-blowingly good album. By the way, Stacey's Mom is
Front to
probably the
back,
crappiest song on that
it's
album.
not just a one hit wonder.
No, it's so good, and we still we still listen to it in the van occasionally. But anyways,
Okay,
Yeah.
now Ben, you've had enough time. If anything, you can make it up. What was the first CD
Yeah.
you had,
Dude, I mean, okay, we're talking real young.
or
I was
close to,
getting,
right?
I was getting like the now 5, now 7, those like
oh
hits when
yeah,
I was really young. And that's funny too. And then there'd be a select few I'd always play on out of those. But as time went on, of course, like I don't know. I don't know the timeline. Maybe like middle school, I had a great like, like Good Charlotte and like Simple Plan and like Fall Out Boy phase. But along
Buddy,
the way, my
you
guitar
gotta put
teacher.
your hair over your eye when you say that.
Oh yeah,
Be
I didn't.
like,
Dude, I never wore like, wore the clothes or this and that, but I like the guitar parts, I know. But my guitar teacher, I think I started when I was 7. And once I got decent enough to like play
damn, that
like
was early then. That was real
yeah,
early.
yeah, it's I was really young, but I wasn't a great student for a number of years, but I liked my teacher. I didn't like not being good at guitar, but I loved music and I knew I didn't want to quit, so I didn't quit, but I kept playing, and sure enough, even if I was only playing like a half hour a week, and I shouldn't be saying this because of I'm a guitar teacher now, it's like a big part of my life, but I didn't quit, and over time I got good enough to actually play some like cool riffs. I definitely remember around the time that he started showing me just music he liked, which was like Iron Maiden and Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix. And this is probably around the time I was like, maybe jamming that like emo rock or whatever. But then it totally switched just to being like learn as much like electric guitar, like cool shit as I could.
Do you
And then
remember the first riff that you like mastered that you would always like pull out of your back pocket?
There is some stuff. Oh man, that's it's hard to think of stuff on a spot, but I know that there was like some of the first things that I really felt proud of playing was like 10 Years Gone by Led Zeppelin. I remember when I got that riff, that was a really big one. It was just like, it
Yes.
was pretty, but it was Led Zeppelin. So it was like I was like, oh, cool, this is like a rock and roll song, but it's really pretty sounding. And
Hmm.
there's some Children of the Grave by Black Sabbath was another one. He got me into that whole album, Masters of Reality.
Dude,
And
yes.
I still love
Who's
that
this
stuff.
teacher? We need to give him a shout out.
Yeah, Stuart Rossiter, man. He's come out to a boogie show before and had a really good time. And yeah, he was a really cool dude. And I think that kind of kept me around too. I wasn't, I was in band in school and stuff like that, and I had great instructors there, but it was so like organized and proper feeling. And it was great to have a guitar teacher that would like, take his instrument out of the case and have like a cigarette butt stuck up in like the tuning pegs from the night before at like a show or whatever.
Like
So
actually gigging.
yeah, but it was a lot just electric guitar, man. And even in college, if we skip ahead a little bit where we all met, I was in kind of like a funk rock band. At the time I met Augie and all the guys, and I liked Bluegrass. I liked Yonder. I liked a bunch of stuff. I really hadn't tried my hand at it, and this is like 10 years ago, so I'd been playing a while. Um, and when I found out Augie played banjo and we started picking together, I started trying to, learn the style of bluegrass, and that took a minute, man. It's a difficult thing, even if you've been playing a long time. And I still feel like, I can hold my own, but there's so much to learn technique wise. Just being able to keep and maintain that speed all the time. I work real hard to try and keep the chops up.
It's insane. Start with that G run, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way of doing it, man. And I was glad though. It's been a great experience, and I still play a ton of electric. Got like side projects that called like Wonder Funk and stuff where I get my fill on that end too. So
That's dope. But so you guys all ended up, so is it Stevens Point?
yep,
That's where you guys ended up meeting?
Hmm.
yep, Central Wisconsin, going to college. Yep.
And so what was the feeling of like, because I mean you can jam with people, right? But that doesn't necessarily mean you want to start a band with them. What was that moment that you guys were like, oh shit? And then a follow-up to that is, when did you start realizing that drums would really help drive the sound of what you guys were looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I can take that. This is kind of a unique part of the story is like I was playing in a kind of an alternative band, alternative country rock band called the Hymatics, and which was three guitars, bass, and drums. And two of those guitars, I was playing electric guitar at the time, and very occasionally banjo. I had kind of set the banjo down for a few years. So I was at a party and somebody was like, Ben Majeska, he's like trying to play bluegrass or something like that is all I remember. And I'm pretty sure that somebody like gave me your number. And I was like, yeah, dude, let's jam. And so I used to go pick Ben up in my 2000 Buick LeSabre and drive him over.
Dude,
It's a beautiful car.
yes. Bench seating? Bench seating?
Oh yeah, it was such a nice
Oh,
car.
dude,
I
you have
love that.
leather interior? Dude, I had a champagne with beige leather interior bench seat LeSabre.
I think that's the exact same thing I had. Yeah. At one
Dude,
point,
fuck
Same.
yes.
it had 215,000 miles when I got rid of it, and it had the only window that worked was the sunroof, and nothing on the dash worked or anything. But that 3.6 V6, you can't beat it. They go forever.
Dude, that thing ripped. I have a
Yeah.
story that we can tell off air about that vehicle.
Oh,
I
I
won't
got
be putting
lots
that
of
on the
stories I can tell
internet,
off air
but
about that vehicle.
but for those that know, they know.
Oh
But
yeah,
that's
dude.
hilarious. So
I
you're
want
picking him
another
up,
one.
and then you're going,
Anyways, I picked
dude,
his ass up, and we would go jam on my porch for a little bit, and kind of both of us were like, I was traditionally trained in playing like the three finger style banjo for sure, but like I had not I had not entered another level of like really playing that well. And Ben coming along and also was like, "Oh, I'm kind of trying to learn bluegrass." And I was like trying to relearn some bluegrass. And so we started going out to this open jam outside of town in the middle of nowhere at this bar that was hosted by a really sweet band called Sloppy Joe. And that was a bunch of cool musicians, and they were really open to people coming and jamming and learning that bluegrass dance around the one mic thing, and went leaning in to sing and walking back and not hitting each other in the head with your instruments and stuff like that. And so we went out to that a few times. We just started jamming with those people and learning more and more. And that caused me to dive back in. Um, you got to remind me about the initial question that you even asked. I started
So
walking
then
down
how
memory
you
lane.
guys met and then how the drummer started driving
Oh,
your
yeah.
sound, right?
Okay.
Because like,
Yes. So, like I said, at that point, I was still in the alternative band, the Hymatics, and that basically was fizzling out. We had been playing around town, and nobody really just had the drive to like do anything more. So we kind of just stopped playing. And I remember like getting a call from Eli, who's our bass player, being like, "Man, I'm super sad about all the work that we put into the Hymatics, and it just not really working out that well. It's just kind of going away, and we've made so many contacts, and we've like it's so fun to think about Eli back there just thinking about business wise. We've made so many contacts and all this put all this work into it, and I'd hate for it all to go to waste." And I was like, "Well, I mean, I love you to death, so as far as I'm concerned, like you can play with me and Ben anytime you want to. I can." And then basically Dan was the drummer. Our original drummer was named Dan. He
yep.
he agreed with all that too and was like, "Yeah, I just want to play with you." So it wasn't really even a decision more than that. We were like 22, and we were like, "Let's jam." It wasn't like a let's refine our sound and do the thing here that Leftover Salmon did, or do this way, this way. It was like these were our buddies that we jammed with.
No, and it really was Eli being like, no, the contacts. And what people don't
Yeah.
understand is like when you're a small band coming up, there's so much work that you have to put in, right? To like
Yeah.
get your name out, to name your band, to now put a logo to that name, to find a venue that'll allow you to play, right? Even if it's a coffee shop on an open mic night or whatever you're
Yeah.
doing. And
Yeah.
it's like that hustle takes so long, right? And
Yeah.
for him, that's funny that he's like, well, I don't want to lose that because I'm sure, especially in central Wisconsin, right? Like it isn't the abundance of options. You're not in Nashville, right? So like you have to get it where you can, and it's fun that you start picking up the pieces. Now, what I love is it kind of plays into the evolution of the scene as a whole, right? Because we have bluegrass, and then we have these jam bands, and then now we have Armchair Boogie, right? Because I feel like it's an evolution and an adaptation of both, and then also pulling like that funk side that Ben was talking about. Like now you start to hear like this is who Armchair Boogie is. So you guys start to put it together, and then how are you setting up like your early set lists, figuring out your sound, going from traditional bluegrass songs to you guys do a lot of fun covers, right? So what was that like for you guys as a band to start navigating that?
I'll let you
Yeah,
take
I
that.
feel like early on, Augie was writing a lot of stuff. I feel like I was still just trying to get bluegrass guitar cooking, but the set list where I think we always set out to be a mostly, original band. We still keep it that way in our set list. I'd say they're 80% originals for the most part. And we try and we can, do a four set run at or like a 2 night run at in the hometown here and do four sets and still have plenty of originals built into those. And we got the bluegrass side, we got the funky side, we have like kind of the rock side, and we also have a softer side that we don't always whip out in front of the raging crowds, but it's fun,
We
man. I
don't
don't
whip
know,
out
it's
our
kind of
soft
all.
guy.
Yeah.
Dude, play us a pretty song, boys. Play us a pretty song.
Right. I will say along the way though, there was a point where we were kind of like recycling set lists and stuff like that. And to be totally honest, we've been at this for like we just got over 10 years of being a band, and we marked, Augie and I played as a duo for like a year, and then we added in like the full band in like September of 2015. And uh, somewhere along the way, we were kind of like maybe recycling set lists. I feel like it wasn't around. I know Fish has always been tracking things, right? But nowadays, like social media is like, it was not as much of a thing back then. And it wasn't like all these and it felt like, by the way, like there was like half as many bands back then, at least that you're aware of. Uh and people weren't posting their set lists and everything everywhere all the time. There was times, and maybe I don't want to say we were being lazy, but we were okay with like recycling the set list from the night before to play it like the next night. And then we started getting our friend Adam Knipple, who deserves a really big shout out. He's just kind of like a really good friend and a muse to us, and encourages and inspires us to keep going with this. But he encouraged a lot of diversity, and constantly pushing ourselves in the set list, and busting out tunes we haven't played, whether it's originals or finding new covers. And now that's just a constant theme where, even if it's a totally different crowd, like than the night prior, it's like we're trying to push ourselves and play different tunes and things like that and keep it fresh.
Well, and then
Yeah, we
that's the
used to have like
double-edged
a
sword.
3 hour set list, and then like a 1 hour set list, and a 4 hour set list. We just choose from whatever show we're playing.
Well, and that's the way that it was for a long time, right? And you
Yeah.
could have those 3 sets to choose from, and you could go do a whole tour and just keep doing those 3 sets. And there are still bands that do that,
Lots of bands
but
do that.
in our well, especially, but in our scenes, right, in bluegrass and jam, it's not as common to play the same sets over. And like then the internet trolls will come out and be like, "Oh, you've played the same 80% set for the last 3 years," and it's like, yeah, but every time the people are rocking and it sells out, right? So like, what are we supposed to do? So it's kind of that weird balance of like, it's the instant gratification of society that we live in, right? But then it also kind of pushes you guys to like keep having to create. But then doesn't that put pressure on you?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's a pressure I enjoy. Some of the pressure I don't enjoy is like social media in general. It's hard to keep up, and but we do. I mean, we post plenty, and it's fun. It's also super fun at times. It's just sometimes when you're on tour, it's like we don't have a tour manager and stuff, and you wake up and you got a 4 hour drive, and you got to find out how to eat and get there for load in and all this, and it's like, oh, when's the time to make this post? And, oh, we forgot to take a picture or video
You
yesterday
got
and
to
stuff.
make your set list post. You got to do your short form videos. And you got, dude, you
Yeah,
have to like, it's insane, but it's like to make it as a band, it's like part of what you have to do.
yeah,
It
and
is.
it just takes habit building. It takes habit building, and just kind of constantly remembering. But I think the funny part for us was that it just wasn't that way early on. And it was like I just remember like being able to like use a picture and just post the thing. Like I remember reels like being invented and being like, what is this? No one's gonna use this. And now it's like everything everyone does. Our bass player, Eli, he convinced us to get Instagram because he was just in a social media class in college. This is like 2016 or whatever. We're like, do
Yep.
we really need to, man? Facebook's doing fine.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a funny observation, if anything. But
Yeah, and meanwhile,
Well,
fast
and then
forward 10 years, I'm addicted to it like it's freaking heroin, and I'm just like laying there on my phone before I go to bed, like I need to scroll. So how could he
Augie's
do
doom
this to me?
scrolling. What are you doing scrolling, Augie? What's in your algorithm? What's the
Uh,
weird shit you got popping up?
it's only banjos. That's the only thing on there.
You're full of shit. But the
banjos
banjo
and
algorithm
bikinis
is
playing
strong.
banjo. Just kidding.
Banjos, bikinis, birds. It's birds
Let's
too.
go.
Yeah,
Dude, I have so much fishing stuff on my algorithm that it's
yeah. There you go.
insane. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. But that's what's crazy is like, okay, so you have to pump this stuff out. You have to create music. You have to continue to evolve your set list, have stage presence, show up, get on tour. Dude, like even going van life, right? And like how expensive it's become. Now it's like it becomes harder and harder. And then you think about like the corporatization of music, right? And now independent venues and then like small bands and then labels versus this. It's like, it is such a hard path to trudge. But 10 years later, here you guys are, and you're still kicking ass, you're still creating, right? And you're evolving and growing. What I would suggest is like on the social media side, what's been fun for us to see as fans is like, get your fans to help you guys, boys. Because you're going to have people that will create content for you that you can recycle and put out there. I think a lot of people want something that's so like perfect and prim and proper because that's the way that it used to be before social media was there. And now I think us as fans, we like genuine, raw, and real. And that's why a lot of like your guys' video content of you being goofballs and having fun, that's us getting to see who you really are.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
kind of what we've learned too. And like, and you know, not, yeah, and like, not even trying to like complain about it. Like it said, like it's fun at times, you know, like it's just sometimes the pressure of all these things, like you're bringing up yeah, and we, you know, we have a manager and a booking agent and this and that, and we got friends that will help too. And it's just funny because it's still just not a job you can ever clock out of. But here we are 10 years later and we're still having a hell of a time, man. Like that's why we're doing it. That's why we just got out of the studio. That's why we're touring and there's no signs of letting up because we love it and love the fans, love the travel, love the live playing, everything like that, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and that's a whole nother level, right? Because the social media and the touring gets you to what you just talked about. So, Augie, let's discuss. You guys just got back from recording, right? Where did you guys have your recording session? Who was it? Did you guys have a producer?
We just recorded our fifth studio album, self-produced. We recorded it at Pachyderm Studios in Cannon Falls, Minnesota. It's a pretty legendary place. There are a lot of awesome people have played there before, and especially a lot of people in the scene around here have. It's just a magical room. And then there's a super cool house that you get to stay at when you're there. And there's a trout stream that goes right through the property right next to it. And it's just a sweet spot. Um, the guy there, Nick, he is the engineer and he does a really good job producing as well. So I just had the most magical time ever, and I'm still just like feeding off of that high from being there. And we recorded the whole album, and it felt so great. And so we're so excited to get that back and continue working on it. But it'll be a ways down the road before it's released, but we're really hoping for this year at some point.
Yeah, but you're starting the process. So for the tracks for what you guys had recorded, were these stuff that you guys already had in the can? Is it some of the stuff that you've already played for us? How is it on this album?
I think it's like 80% stuff we've been playing. There's a couple tunes that we hadn't played live, or if we did, they weren't finished yet or something like that, you know. So for the most part, it's stuff that we've been playing. Um,
And what's your guys' process like when you are writing? Do you do it individually and then you come to the band? Like, are you normally starting with the rhythm or a lyric or what is it?
yeah, that it is usually the song tends to be about 80% done by the time it comes to the band. I sit down, I write most of my stuff on guitar just because that's like where I get the feeling of like the full musical feeling from when I'm singing it and getting the melody down and stuff like that. And then I come up with a banjo part. It's just usually how it goes. There's a few tunes that like I have a banjo riff and I'll start with that. But then it's interesting because like a thing that's happened with Ben is where he's like, all right, boys, I got this song mostly done, but I'm looking for a jam section here. Let's hammer it out. And so we did that for one of his tunes up in the studio, and we're all super stoked about how that turned out. And yeah, so it's just like I'm thankful for these guys because they're just a unique group of dudes and they all have their own musical voice. And I'm like, okay, what do you guys think should happen right here? And so I just try and listen. Like, obviously, it's like the songwriter gets the final say in what you like or what you don't like. But most of the time, it's like super awesome stuff that we each come up with. And like, oh, great idea. Awesome. And then just keep moving
And then
through.
what is it like? What is it like for you, Ben? Because I know you've written a lot of the songs too.
Yeah, it's a similar kind of thing, sitting down with my guitar, writing, bringing it to the table, having it mostly there. I really like pulling from the guys' ideas and jam sections. It's one of the most fun parts to write. If you listen to our music, we have a lot of like twists and turns
Hmm.
throughout it, and we just had a show in our hometown here where we did a whole set and we added in fiddle and keyboards, and we had to like they had to train on all these songs. And it's not really until you watch someone kind of go through the ringer, you play it with new people in the band for one night, that you realize, like, oh yeah, they had to learn this stuff that we just kind of go through autopilot at this point.
Well, because you guys have gelled so well together.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's kind of a fun part of our sound too. Like I like looking for those little odd moments or time things or breaks or whatever. And now they kind of come naturally. I used to have to search for them. And now I can't write a song. I can't really write a straightforward song anymore. It feels like that's why Augie gets a lot of like the bluegrass stuff. He was kind of always of that nature. I still struggle with just writing like a 145 or whatever. But I will say, man, constant my best writing advice, if not that you're asking it, but what I've learned is just constantly writing down things that come across my mind, or if I'm sitting down practicing and I stumble upon a cool riff, maybe I just record that snippet and I don't even remember to listen to it for a year. And I'm sitting down during a little writing session in the morning, and I go back and my little archive of all these like tiny little recordings or songs that are just like off the top of my head, and start refining them from there, you
Do
know?
you feel like you listen more for the music than you are for the lyrics first in your creation?
That's a good point. I think I do. I work a little bit better that way. Lyrics are still like a little bit more of a struggle than music. I feel like I could write like chord progressions and guitar parts like all day. The lyrics are, and maybe it's the vulnerability of them and things, or the getting out of your own way with judging whatever, wanting it to be perfect, wanting it to be that Bob Dylan lyric that you're never gonna have, and also just accepting that, like, hey, nothing's wrong with my voice or what I want to say here. And then that's when a lot of good songs get completed, to just being like, hey, that's me.
Well, and it's literally finding your voice, right? And
Yeah.
so, what is it that you've told yourself over the times that when you're writing these lyrics or singing these songs, that you're like, hey, it doesn't matter? Because I've talked to musicians, and sometimes, like, they'll say things like, "Oh, well, I want to create something for the community," right? And I don't remember who it was, but they said, "Stop creating for the community and create for yourself," right? Because then that's where it's an art. If you're creating something to be consumed, then you're losing that level of artistry.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, I
I
couldn't
think
agree
the
more.
Yeah, like lyrics always matter, right? I never want to say they don't, but I think there's also some times where, like, you can get in the weeds with it, because like there could
Listen,
be
Fish
any.
is selling out MSG 13 days in a row, and you don't understand what the fuck they're singing about some of the times too, right? So
Most of them.
Sometimes your first idea is the best, right? Like I'm like, oh, I want to change that verse, and I go and I spend half hour trying to write something different. I come back to it. I'm like, you know what? That feels good. And why I liked it initially is how powerful I felt just singing the timbre of those lyrics along with the music. I read a Jeff Tweedy book, How to Write One Song, and he mentioned how one of his songs just has like just they're not even words to one little part. He just like says some nonsense, and he's gotten a lot of compliments on like, I love what you did there, stuff like that. But it just feels right, you know?
Well, and
So
it's crazy because I've read things before where they talk about the different types of brains and how they listen and hear music. And some people hear melodies, some people hear the rhythm, some people hear the lyrics. You could ask somebody to, like, hey, sing the words to this song, and they don't know, right? They could hum every section of the entire song, but they could maybe pick out like the chorus and that's it. But it's crazy how our brains work, right? But it's also crazy for you guys as musicians. I think what pushes you guys is like the strive for perfection, right? When what you forget about is us as fans is like, we have no fucking clue, right? We didn't know that you messed up or you didn't play this right or whatever it may be. And I think that's where the freedom comes from, is when you just like do it. What I wanted to chat a little bit more about is, like, obviously in your albums, you talk about the breaks and the twists and turns that you guys take. So that allows for these jam sessions to happen, right? So do you remember like the moment or like one of your longest jam sessions where you guys just like could not get out of it and you were just like, as I say, deep in the muck?
A particular one, no, but I mean, there's been some long ones for sure. I I think
there's
that a
one thing
healthy,
yeah.
to partially, to not even really answer your question, but just to go something adjacent, which is just like a thing that happens, I think, in Armchair Boogie, is that there's like a pull between Ben and I, because
Yep.
I naturally don't like have 8-minute jammers. I've made a few because this band is so good at it. Um, but Ben could just be in it for a long time. And I think that that's where he excels in his guitar playing, is being
And
able
Augie,
to,
that's where we want him to go. Let
yeah,
fucking Ben rip. Just
and of
let
course,
him rip.
yeah. And I'm there for it, man. I'm for sure there for it. But I naturally don't. I'm naturally just like, all right, that song's done. I think generally, so it's like you said, I do bluegrass and country stuff, and Ben does funk and jam stuff, and we've combined them into what's going on here, and it works pretty well.
And we do definitely have times where all of us agree that we forgot what tune we started with. I think that's kind of a common thing across. Like, okay, so I'm in the key of G, I'm jamming, I'm peaking, and I'm gonna keep peaking till I fucking remember what
What?
tune I'm
Yeah.
supposed to
What
come
was the
back
last thing
into.
Augie said?
What are we running it back to? Somebody talk
Yeah.
into the back mic and let us know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have one of those, man. We're old school. We're
Dude,
just
yes.
fucking.
So you're
We don't.
just fucking
It's
out
like
and you just need to figure it out. That is
Yeah.
beautiful.
We were talking to
it's
our buddy Adam Grohl the other day, and he was like, "Don't you guys think that's kind of cheating? The guys with the back mics, isn't it kind of cheating to be able to talk to each other?"
I do love when they make jokes, right? Because then you see like a shit-eating grin pass through every single person on the band, like
Yeah.
as it's happening.
Hmm.
And then you're just like, okay, what the fuck did they just say to each other? Because
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
obviously was a juicy one.
Yeah.
yeah.
But it's also like it's growing, right? And you guys continuing to evolve and like find where your comfort levels at. And I think that's what I love, is like the evolution, right? Because I talked about it before. Okay, well, we have the bluegrass scene and we have the jamgrass scene, and now we have like this vertical adjacent that's right in the middle of both of them, right? And you guys are one of these bands that are leading this charge in this like undescribable genre, right? Because you can't really like tighten down what it is that this genre does, because you can go from playing like a Bill Monroe tune to playing like a 17-minute space session, right? And so for you guys going into the to record the albums, and a fifth studio album is insane, and that's a commendable achievement, right? So congratulations on that. But then it's also like, okay, well, now you have to put these out into your live show. So what's that evolution look like for some of them? Or do you just go the Augie route where like, no, this is 2 minutes and 45 seconds and this is 2 minutes and 45 seconds?
Well, there's
Man,
a song of mine that we kind of just like hammered out in the studio. We hadn't sat down with it for a while, and we played it live, and we had an idea, and we tried a couple jams, and it went fine, but we just needed a couple decisions to be made, and we finally like made it happen in the studio, and and then we got to play it out in St. Paul or in the Twin Cities like the week after we were in the studio, we were in the studio Monday through Thursday, and we played that Saturday in the cities, and it was super fun to be able to just like bring it to life in that sense too, live right off the bat, you know.
yeah, and that's really a perfect example of what he was just talking about with just listening to what the song wants to happen, because that's what, and this probably, I'm sure to some people this sounds like some ego trippy horse shit, but I personally really do think that when I'm songwriting, it's just like there's an antenna that's coming up and stuff comes into me and comes out, and it's like, okay, there's songs and there's a feeling that I'm following. That's what it is. I'm like, what is usually like a melody and one verse will come out or something like that, and it'll just flow, and each song is like, that one needs that many choruses, or that song that Ben was just talking about in particular, we were trying to make a decision, and I was honestly like kind of pushing towards keeping it a shorter song, and then we were going through and we finally settled on a structure, and we played through it for the first time, and I was like, not gonna lie, right in the middle of that, I heard a ripping guitar solo that wasn't there. And so I think we need to do that. And so and then all that had to happen was Ben to put a ripping guitar solo in the middle of it.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah.
And the fun part about, you bringing up like, we still struggle to, we never feel right calling ourselves bluegrass. Jamgrass is close, but it doesn't cover that like that kind
Funk
of
side.
country
Yeah.
funk, Americana folk stuff that we do too. We've never been able to really, but that's the fun part when it comes to writing, because if you sit down to write, there's it could be anything, and you can bring it to the table and an armchair, and we can typically find a way to make it work. And very rarely are we like, that just doesn't. Typically, we find a way together to bring it to life and give it our own twist,
Yeah. I have so many songs that are just not Armchair Boogie songs, like I have a solo album out that's more like some really traditional bluegrass and or country and or like kind of alternative folk stuff, that like softer folk stuff that happens, that I'm like, there's no way that Armchair Boogie should play this song, you know? And but then then one comes in and you're just like, that's for sure an Armchair Boogie song, So that's just, and I only have so much damn energy to put into music. Like I only have so much energy to put into music before I start to like not really enjoy it. So I have to, like, my energy is just Armchair Boogie, but I got albums worth of like other songs that I just like are sitting in my voice memos,
That's awesome. But let's talk about this, because now you guys are about to start going on tour, right?
Yeah.
And like, how much work does that go into it? You talked about having a booking manager and having some of this set up, but you're getting in a van, pulling a trailer and hitting the road, right?
Just a van,
Yeah,
man.
but
Yeah.
No trailer.
no, we don't got amps, man. We got drums, and we fit in a 15 passenger van and have for a while now, and it works. So we haven't made the jump. We haven't like
Yeah.
really needed to, but this has to be like our 11th or 12th Colorado tour or something like that, man.
Probably more than
We
that.
are friggin' yeah, I don't know. We've been there
Probably.
so many
Yeah.
times, but it's definitely a home away from home in the mountains, man. We're
Yeah, I'm super
stoked to
stoked.
get back.
Yeah. I'm so excited to go back to Colorado and spend some good time there. Yeah.
Well, my co-host that's not here, he always says we train for this shit, right?
Yeah.
So what is the difference between like the vibes? Because I always talk to people like Colorado. I live 3 miles from Red Rocks, and so we're super blessed. We have shows like just this weekend. We have Silas and Vince Herman. We have Trey Wellington. We have Sam Grissman. We have Magoo, all playing on the same night. Right? Like it's just a plethora of music that comes out. But for you guys as musicians, what is it like playing to a Colorado crowd?
It's
I
like playing
mean,
to a Wisconsin crowd, except for it's in Colorado.
Really? Well, I mean, Wisconsin is rowdy, right? Like you
Yeah,
guys, like for people that don't know, like Wisconsin gets after it. They like their adult beverages. They hoot and holler because like, and that's what I say is like that's the rowdy side of bluegrass. Like you go to like Podunk, North Carolina, they're sitting down, they're respectful,
lawn
right?
chair.
Like that's what I want people to understand about the Wisconsin bluegrass and Midwest scene, right? Because they get rowdy in Minnesota and Iowa. You have fun, right? And so people think like, oh, Colorado is this crazy scene. And I love that you said that because Wisconsin 1000% is, right? And like you have great festivals. You have the Blue Ox. You guys even have your own festival, right?
That's right.
yep, the boogie down. We're going into our 6th year of the boogie down, and we got Trampled by Turtles and Daniel Donato on it, and a host of other awesome bands. But we've been hosting that in the southwestern portion of Wisconsin, the Driftless region, which is just like all these beautiful hills and valleys, and not very populated. The Amish population is rolling around in carts and buggies on some of the roads, and there's just this incredible amphitheater that Driftless Music Gardens built. But yeah, that's going on September 11th and 12th this year. We're pumped about that.
Go get your tickets. There's some big names there.
I,
And
I
then let's talk
do.
about the Colorado run.
I did just want to get back to one point about Colorado, and it's that the reason why Colorado is such a rowdy place is because everybody that lives in Colorado is just from Wisconsin originally. Dude, if we play a show in
Well,
Colorado and we say like raise your hand if you're from Wisconsin, it's like half the crowd, and we get great crowds. So, um, I mean, Colorado is absolutely my second favorite state. I love it so much. I would live there. That would be the next one besides Wisconsin. I just love Wisconsin too much.
We won't tell Wisconsin about it. But let's tell you what are
Yeah.
those Colorado dates and let us know where we can follow you guys and what's going on.
yeah, we got Thursday, April 16th in Denver at Globe Hall. And then we got the Friday, the 17th in Buena Vista at the Lariat. And then Saturday the 18th in Longmont for Dankgrass at Oscar Blues. And that's
Yes.
like Stickard Hollow and Pert near Sandstone. And then we're in Palisade on Sunday, which is April 19th, for Palisade Bluegrass Bash with a bunch of awesome bands too. That's kind of like a Midwest takeover. Pert near Sandstone is there as well. They're the hosts of Blue Ox and good friends of ours, and it's kicking off the first leg of tour. From there, we're off to like Salt Lake City and Idaho and Oregon and Washington before headed home. But yeah, man, we're excited because we love Cervantes, but we played there easily 10 times, and I think the only two places we played in Denver are Cervantes, the other side, and the Masterpiece Ballroom. And we love it. By the way, we would go back there in a heartbeat, and I'm sure we will. But we're excited to check out a new room and hang out in Globe Hall and see what it's all about and get a little change of scene out there.
Yeah, we've been
Globe
doing
Hall's amazing.
Cervantes for like 8 years.
We always joke that every venue needs to have barbecue in it. So you guys will be
Yeah.
pleased with the Globe Hall. Where can people stay up to date? How can they follow you? How do they stay up on all things Armchair Boogie?
I mean, please just, check out the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, all that jazz. And then our website is armchairboogiemusic.com /shows if you want to see the tour dates. But we're always keeping it updated, man. And we're posting all the time about it and everything. And I'm sure these crowds will be great, but never hurts to, by the way, just like I think everyone's used to letting the the algorithms tell them what's going on. I just want to give a shout out to anyone checking bands' websites that they like. And I want to give a shout out to all the friends that don't hit me up after I've toured there and said, "Why didn't you let me know?" I want to give a shout out to the people that showed up without me having to add an extra to-do list thing.
Yeah, actually,
buy your tickets before the day of the show.
Yes, that's right.
And don't ask for a guest list spot too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really, though, the best way to pay attention to us and find out where we're gonna be is if you just take down here. I'll tell you Ben Majeska's phone number right now, and it's 1-800-guitarporn.com, and just give him a text message and say, "Hey, where are you?" And he'll let you know.
And he's gonna answer.
Yeah,
well, thank you, gentlemen.
At the ready.
Ready. I appreciate you guys so much, and we look forward to seeing you down in these parts next week. And go follow Armchair Boogie and check them out.
Hell yeah, brother.
Thanks, man.